Let's talk about a guy named Herod Antipas. Now, here's a ruler from the ancient world who had it all. Power, wealth, you name it. But a few, let's say, personal choices would lead to his complete and utter ruin. It's a truly classic story of ambition, betrayal, and, of course, the consequences.
And when I say he lost everything, I mean everything. His kingdom, his money, his reputation, his freedom, all of it, gone. So we're going to trace the chain of events, piece by piece, to see how his entire world just completely fell apart.
So you have to ask yourself, what was the real reason for such a spectacular fall from grace? Was it just naked political ambition, a deep personal insult he couldn't ignore? Or did this whole disaster really boil down to a forbidden love? Let's dive in and find out.
Okay, so the whole saga kicks off with one single, fateful decision. A decision that tangled up family, politics, and desire in pretty much the most dangerous way you can imagine.
And here it is, the central conflict in a nutshell. On one hand, you've got Herod's current wife, Phasaelise. This was a strategic marriage, She's the daughter of a powerful king right next door. But on the other hand, there's his new obsession, Herodias, who just so happened to be married to his own half-brother.
Now, this wasn't some slow-burn secret romance. Oh no, this was a calculated deal. While he's in Rome, staying with his half-brother, Herod Antipas makes a pact with his sister-in-law, Herodias. And the terms were simple. She'd leave her husband for him, but only if he agreed to divorce his own wife first. The secret deal was struck, and the very first domino was pushed.
But of course, a secret plan this big was bound to unravel. And it did, with some pretty disastrous consequences. Because secrets, especially in royal courts, they have a way of getting out.
And there it is. Before Herod could even act, his wife, Phasaelise, finds out about the whole scheme. Can you imagine the betrayal? Suddenly, this private agreement is about to become a full-blown political crisis.
So, think about her situation. She's deep inside her husband's kingdom, surrounded by his people, his guards. The question is, how on earth does a betrayed princess escape a palace and get word back to her very powerful father?
Well, this was no panicked escape. This was a brilliant strategic play. Phasaelise acted perfectly. She pretended she knew nothing and then asked her husband to send her to a fortress near her home country. Herod, totally clueless, agrees. But it was a trap. She'd already sent word ahead, and her father had a whole relay of generals waiting to secretly pass her from one to the next, all the way across the border. And once she was safe, she told her father everything.
And now, this is where things really start to escalate. This isn't just a messy family drama anymore. See, a personal betrayal of a daughter is a massive public insult to her father, King Herodias, and he is not the kind of man to let that go.
So King Herodias was, you can imagine, absolutely furious. The dishonor done to his daughter was the perfect excuse he needed. He took that personal insult, combined it with an ongoing border dispute they already had, and declared all-out war on Herod Antipas.
The result of that war? A complete and total disaster for Herod. This wasn't just a loss, it was annihilation. His entire army was wiped out. And to add insult to injury, the defeat was even more humiliating because it didn't just come from the enemy in front of him, it also came from within his own ranks. Some of Herod's own soldiers actually defected during the battle, guaranteeing a total collapse. So while Herod is reeling from this military catastrophe, many of his own subjects had a very different theory about why it all happened. For them, the enemy wasn't King Herodias. The enemy was God. Now, to understand why they thought this, we need to talk about John the Baptist. He was this hugely popular preacher, and people saw him as a truly righteous man. But Herod Antipas, he saw that kind of influence over the masses as a political threat, a spark that could ignite a rebellion. So, out of pure suspicion, he had John arrested and eventually executed.
So the public overwhelmingly believed that Herod's army wasn't destroyed because of some military blunder. Nope, they saw it as divine justice, as God's punishment for the unjust execution of John the Baptist.
So he's defeated in war, and his own people think he's being punished by God. You'd think things couldn't possibly get any worse for Herod, right? Well, the final act of his downfall was still to come, and it was driven, once again, by family ambition.
And the final trigger? It was Herodias, the very woman he started this whole mess for. Her own brother, Agrippa, got in good with the new Roman Emperor Caligula and was given the official title of king.
Herodias became intensely jealous. She just could not stand her brother having a higher rank than her husband.
So, pushed by Herodias, Antipas travels to Rome to ask for a kingship for himself. This turned out to be a fatal mistake. His rival Agrippa used this chance to accuse Antipas of treason against Rome. And Caligula bought it. He stripped Antipas of all his power, all his wealth, and banished him to Gaul, what we now call France. And in a final, maybe surprising bit of loyalty, Herodias chose to go with him into exile.
I mean, the speed of this collapse is just staggering. In 36 AD, he loses his entire army. By 39 AD, he's accused of treason, stripped of his title, and exiled. In just about 4 years, he went from a respected ruler to a disgraced nobody, dying in a foreign land.
So, when you look back at this whole chain of events, the illicit deal, the angry wife, the disastrous war, the public backlash, and that final political blunder, what really brought him down? Was it divine punishment for his actions, the inevitable outcome of playing ruthless political games? Or was he maybe just a man fated to be destroyed by his own desires? Definitely something to think about.